welcome to another session. It's week 2, identity and access management. I can't wait. I'm really excited. We just had a nice session just earlier today, led by Chiche, Paula, Prasad, and it was really interesting to know what people are doing, how week 1 was, how challenging it was. And yes, so as always, it's all about us trying to make sure that we upskill and share our learnings with the community. So I'll share my screen. Awesome. So this is week 2 on AWS IAM. My name is Kevin Tui, a cloud consultant. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn, just here on YouTube. And I'm really excited. As I mentioned, we had a session earlier today with Rana, who was taking us through IAM. Looking forward to a recap or a reliving of that session. This is the 12-week AWS Workshop Challenge, and this couldn't be possible without the organizers as well as the sponsors. So I'd like to give some special thanks to the AWS user groups running this, the Douala user group, AWS user group, the Yaoundé AWS user group led by Chiche and Paula and Fonquenti, and the sponsors for this 12-week AWS Workshop Challenge become a Solutions Architect, BISA, and Wiz Labs. And awesome, I'm really excited. I was happy that I also was one of the 15 people who were selected as most active in this week, and we'll be getting some sandboxes for me to try out and also do some more labs from the Wiz Labs platform. Then again, EduCloud Academy, special thanks. If you don't know what hands-on learning is all about, please head on to EduCloud Academy and just see what they have. And special thanks to Sadra, who is always there to support the community, who's there also today to answer most of our questions as the participants of this challenge. And I can't thank you enough for what you're doing with the community and for the community. So this is important. I think you just need to update this. So the hashtag is 12-week AWS Workshop Challenge. And it's important to tag. So these are some of the links you can check out: 12weekworkshop.com, become Solutions Architect, Platform EduCloud, as well as Wiz Lab. What you're going to be covering this week, you're going to do an IAM hands-on lab. I realized that this was also offered in week 1, although I didn't cover it under the basic modules. So that is what I'll be covering in this video. Then in the second part of the video, I'll select some week 2 advanced modules so that we can try out some of the advanced modules and what is there under IAM in the advanced modules. So enough talk. Shows the demo. As always, you know that this is the mantra that we live there, is that talk is cheap. Show me the code. So I'll just stop with the slides here. Then I'll get out of that. I'll log in. Just log into the console right now. Very important. So I'll be using my own account for now. And just log in. So even when you get the sandbox, you might realize that some workshops might be having an issue in terms of access, because you have to know about the limitations of your sandbox account to know whether you're able to run a particular workshop or not. It's very, very important so that you don't end up asking yourself, why did this work? Why did it not work? Yes, so it's very important to know the limitations, and anytime you get those are going to get a sandbox access, it's very, very important to know the limitations or what you can or cannot do with your account. So as always, we're going to be there in the Discord community, helping each other, trying our best to ensure that we walk this journey together. Because as we've already been mentioning, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint, and no one is competing with one another. It's all about you gaining your skills and having it up there. So my console is up, and I also have the 12-week workshops up. We just close all the other tabs. Then I have the both of them there. Good. So let me share my screen. Good. So here we are. So let's have this. So this is our platform where we usually our starting point every time. So we scroll down, special thanks to WizLabs. We get into first of all week 1, where we still have the, IAM is also part of the core services. So I'm going to just jump onto that and focus specifically on the IAM hands-on lab within the general immersion day. So let's run this. Let's you go to under basic modules, under security, you'll find the IAM hands-on lab. So what do we have here? So this we have we have security, identity, and compliance. AWS, AWS has a lot of security services. And just as a side talk, if you haven't looked at Ashish's security services in AWS Udemy course, please make sure you do. Do check him. He really explains it in a way that I can't really even put it into perspective, making it very easy for you to understand all that it takes to be secure on AWS. So you can see these are all the services. You have cloud category, Cognito, and when you go to Ashish's course, he has already grouped all these services depending on some of the forces that it is identifying, whether it is response, and all these kind of aspects. So there are so many services that AWS offers for security, identity, and compliance. And all these, although all these are not going to be covered in this one lab, it's important to understand why this becomes, because this is saying that usually say that security is of zero at AWS. So let's get into this. So again, you can also automate some manual security tasks using some certain services, a number of different things, and it's always important to check the best practices, some of the things around under policies, and some of the tutorials under IAM. All these are from the AWS documentation. So let's jump onto this. What is IAM? So IAM is a service that really assists us to securely control access to the AWS resources. And why is it important to do this? because you don't just want to have everyone, the moment they come into your house, they can see every. You should be able to know that these people can access the guest room. There's only these people can access only the living room, and there's some people who can maybe access the kitchen so that they can be able to do some things in the kitchen. So that is the work of IAM for you. And anytime you create an AWS account, for many of you have already created an account, most probably you haven't created an admin user for you to use that to do what? To do your day-to-day AWS tasks. That is what you really need to do as the first thing. Don't use your root account for your day-to-day running of your AWS tasks and projects and setting up your workloads. So your root account or the root user usually signed in using the email address and the password that you created that you use when you create an account. So for example, if I just open a new private window here and I do AWS management console, so what you expect to see when you start logging in, you get two interfaces here most of the time. So what do you get? You usually you can log in as a root user. There are things that a root user can do that no IAM user can do. For example, like restoring some permissions to an IAM user, some things around billing and costs, accounting. Also, even when you want to maybe delete your account or deactivate your account, or even maybe have change your credit card and many other some of the other things that are very specific can only be done from the root user. That is when you can now log into it. But the practice tells us that for us to do, because of this unrestricted access, we need to have an IAM user that you can use to perform your daily tasks. So as you can see, when you use the root user, you have the option of using an email address. But when you choose an IAM user, you can see you have to enter an account ID. And again, you can also use what we call an account alias. You might not be every day remembering your 12 digits, but AWS are kind enough for you. You can use an account alias. For example, I have an account alias which I usually use so that I don't need to enter my So for example, if I just if I enter my account alias, maybe like that, and then you can see I can now enter my username as well as my password, and then I'm able to sign in. See, so I've already done that, and that is when you're going to see. For example, let's look at this architecture. So what is happening? So you already know that you can check the security best practices. I am here, which is very important to understand what are the different best practices. For example, you should require human users to use federation with IAM, with an identity provider to access AWS using temporary credentials. This one is very important, especially even when you're going to be getting our sandboxes. It's going to be you're going to be accessing them through federation, if I'm not wrong. And then you should require workloads to use temporary credentials with IAM roles to access AWS. So what is the important thing that you're really realizing here is the importance of temporary credentials over long-term credentials. Then it's also important to require MFA, which is part of, I think, the advanced modules in week 2, where you can require even IAM users to you enforce MFA for your IAM users so they don't continue using an IAM user in an organization without having already registered or used MFA. And another thing about MFA, it has been stated that I think starting January, AWS will require that root users have MFA enabled. That goes to show the importance of having MFA for security in your AWS accounts. So then again, you should update access keys when needed for use cases that require long-term credentials. So maybe having use cases that require some long-term credentials, and that is when you should continue rotating those access keys. Then you should safeguard your root user credentials and don't use them for everyday tasks. Usually say create an IAM user. After that, lock away your root user and put away the keys. Don't throw them in the ocean, but put them somewhere where you don't use them. Keep them safely. Then it's important to apply the principle of least privilege. Only give a user just enough, or even a resource, just enough privileges for them to effectively perform the task that they require. Don't over provision, or provision. Don't over what? Overgive, or don't just assign more permissions than is required to do the task. Then should get started with AWS managed policies and move towards least privilege permissions. You can see it is also repeated here. And then use the IAM access analyzer to generate least privilege policies based on access activity. Very important, using IAM access analyzer. Then you should regularly and remove unused users, roles, and permissions. So IAM dashboard, for example, if I open my IAM here, let's say load, it has a way of showing you like a green tick or an amber exclamation mark, or even a red exclamation mark to show you some of the things that are not right in your within in terms of your users, the roles, the permissions, even the policies. So for example, as you can see here, I'm having 4 users. I think I'm going to see on my dashboard come up here. Some of the things that I'm using, some of the roles that I have, and I'm able to see some of the things that, for example, if I can check my policies, so you can see I have some policies, some customer managed policies here, or code pipeline, code build, code catalyst. This for read secrets that I'd created. Take this policy would be needed, which is fine. It was part of the lab when we were doing it. Yes, so you can see these are some of the things that are there. Okay, so then again, you can use conditions in IAM policy to further restrict access. There's also things called permission boundaries, and then you can verify and cross-account access to resources with IAM access analyzer. You just get to know, for example, this way you can get access analyzer. I can just check this. I don't have enabled. If I don't enable it, I'll be using it first time, but I'll check it. So let it load. Then it's establish permission guardrails across multiple accounts. This is also very important. And since it's going to be part of the next video that we're going to be doing. Okay, then you're going to use permissions, boundaries to delegate permissions, management, as I've mentioned, within an AWS account. Also a very important security best practice, and there are workshops around this. So let's look at this architecture. We're having a user group, an IAM group called dev group. Then it has the dev user, some permissions. And in this case, we're having 2 EC2 instances. So the dev group has access to the dev instance, and it doesn't have access to the prod instance. So this lab is breaking down into how you can launch EC2 instance with tags, create AWS IAM identity, test access to the resources, then you're going to assign an IAM role for EC2 instance and test it. access. So in terms of the cost, so it's a feature that is offered. So that's very important. The time is free. You can, but you only charge for the use of other products by your IAM user. So if I have, for example, I personally have what you can see, I don't have an analyzer yet. So for example, I can create, but we're going to have a lab around access analyzer. So I'm not going to do it right now. Don't want to deviate from what you need to do for now. So let us look at this. So I'm going to launch 2 instances of Amazon Linux. So I think by now it should be Amazon Linux 2023, a production stage instance and the development instance. So going to go to the EC2, we're going to launch an instance. Then I'm going to add additional tags. Then we're going to enter a value. Then we're going to enter prod instance over, and then we're going to create a key called env and call the value prod, and then it's going to Linux 64-bit t2.micro. We're going to say select proceed without a key pair, and then you're launching the instance. Do you need to put a public IP to it? No, so we need to have it use. So we launch the instance using the default security group of purpose. Also, it shows allow all IP comment setting to allow access to known IP addresses only, which you can use your own IP. So I've launched an instance for production. Now we are going to create one more instance for the development. We're going to repeat. Then we're going to use dev instance. And then you're still going to use that. So let's deploy our instance to that. So let's go to EC2, open it up, it's loading. So open that up. So we launch the instance. So launch the instance called dev, right? Just confirm called dev instance. So dev hyphen instance, sorry, dev instance. And then still Amazon Linux. Let's use Amazon Linux 2 as stated, just to make sure you're uniform. 64-bit t2.micro. We're going to proceed without a key pair. We're going to leverage the default. We're going to create a security group. Yeah, okay, no worries. And then we should add additional tags. Then you're going to add the tag called env. Don't know whether it should be small. Let confirm. Capital E, right? As you can see, capital E, no worries. env, and here we are calling it dev. And then we're going to launch that instance. Oh yeah, proceed without a key pair. Launch instance. So that is done. We're still again going to launch another instance. I'm going to call it prod instance. Then still let's use Amazon Linux. So 64-bit, no worry. 686, right? Not ARM. Yes, XXX. So we are good. We're going to proceed without a key pair. Going to add the additional tags. And then the tag is still env. This one is the prod one, production. Then I think it's fine. You launch that inside. Okay. So we have our two instances. Let us now move. Deploy with different resource tags. We've already done that. Then we're going to create IAM identities. So what happens here? I'm going to create an IAM identity includes IAM user, a user group, and roles. Also work with creating an IAM policy, an object in AWS that when associated with an identity or a resource defines their permissions. I think we'd already looked at this just a diagram to show us how IAM is going to work. So I'm going to create a policy, a user to attach to the group. And we're going to create a group called dev group. We're going to create a user called dev user, which is going to be placed in dev group. So once you're here, you can see I can customize, I can create an alias, which I think I already have an alias. So I don't need to do the alias part. So if you check mine, go to the dashboard. So you can see an alias really helps you do what? To make to allow you to easily create a sign-in URL. If you look at it, I already have an alias, CIT. This is my sign-in URL. I can just save it somewhere. Already done that. So I'm going to go to policies. Then I'm going to create a policy. And then remember that when defining a policy for the permissions, you can create and edit using the visual data editor or JSON. So I usually find also JSON much better. So because you can see how you can see these permissions. Remember that it always contains the effect, the action, the resource, and even you can see here it has a condition, right? So you can see it says it's going to allow access to EC2, all actions under EC2 for all resources, as long as the resource tag called env has the value there. And then it's going to allow you to describe, to show, to list the EC2 resources, and then it's going to not allow the ability to delete tags, as well as also not going to allow the ability to create tags on all the resources. So let's create this policy. It's called. So I think you already explained this. So let's go create a policy here, create a policy. So far, it's been a good learning. So you can see the difference. You can use the visual or the JSON. Let's use the JSON. I'm going to paste that whole policy. I'm going to go to next to tags. You can see, I can see the tags moved here. So I'll keep the default settings, then I go to review. the policy is going to be called dev policy, which is already IAM policy for the dev group. So it is the values, dev policy, and policy for the dev group. So I'm going to just copy that and copy also this. Okay, we are about to create. Let's confirm if there's anything else. So we are done with policy. So we just create that policy. The policy is created. We move to user groups. We're going to create a group called dev group and select dev policy data in attach permission policy optional section. And then once we attach, we create benefits. So let's create the group. Let's go to groups, create a group. I call it dev group. You can see I also have another user called Darling. I think I wanted to have one specifically for this, but it's okay. So dev group, then I'm under the attach policy, and we're calling it dev. How did you call it? Dev policy, yes, it is. Then I'm going to create a group. And we're also going to create another user. So I'm going to go to user, add a user, call it dev user. Dev user. Do you need to give it access? Yes, I'm going to tick that. Then I'm going to generate a custom password. And then I'm going to select dev group. Okay, no worries. Give it access. You can see this by default, this it's better to use the IAM Identity Center, which is very important. In my in another account, I would say that I've done this. So just say I want to create an IAM user. I'm going to use a custom password. I'm going to delete it, so no need to put crazy. Don't want to change the password and sign in next. Then I'm going to add the user to a group, which is the dev group. Anything else? I think I'm done. Download the CSV to attain the access key. So also need programmatic access. So if I do want that, it's okay. I think I can create it later. So the thing is a bit different in terms of the console. I have my sign URL, my password, I have it there. So if I return to the users list, so if I want, it's very important to download. I can just download it as a CSV file. Just save it. Then I can just return to the users list. And then once I have this dev, so you can see this is what I was telling you. For example, I've had a user called amplify user. Been a while since I used it. That is why it is having that. So if I really don't need it, instead of just having it, you can see it doesn't have access to the console. I can decide no, it's too much. I need to delete it. See, this has a green check, meaning that I've used it. This one doesn't have any activity, just created it like 5 days ago, but then again I haven't done much with it. So maybe I can say I don't need it. I can just delete it. Then I can have to type the name of the user and just delete that user. And see, that is how we do it. So deleted that user, but now we need to take this user and have the programmatic access. How do we do that? we go to security credentials, you can see I don't have MFA. That is why I'm having these exclamation mark. I haven't created that, so I can just create an access key. Do I need it? Let's confirm whether I need it. So I'll be able to log in. This is the dev user. Do I need to add? Yeah, so let's just try. So once I create, I think there's no other way. I'm not creating another user, but I think the architecture wanted us to have. We also needed what? Yeah, it's just the dev user. All the IAM identities of the dev group, the dev user, and the permissions, which we've already done to do that. We have a policy called dev policy, created the dev user, created the dev group. So it's a matter of trying to check. So I just don't want to create access credentials if I really don't need them. I learned the hard way. So let's get on to this. Let us test access. Okay, before we test access, I think I need to log in. Isn't too much. I just use the sign-in link. Then I enter my account ID or account alias. So I'll just do that. So this is my sign-in link, my console sign-in link. So don't want to take too long on this. So remember with the user is dev user. Sorry, dev user. My password, I need to put it, which I'm not going to say. Then I'm going to sign in. So you can see it's almost just goes in. Don't have any MFA, no nothing. But it shouldn't be that easy. I've actually felt weird because it's I think the first time I ever logged in after a very long while before I've logged in without without. Yeah, so I'm a person who loves dark mode. So anytime I see something just about here to do that. And yeah, so once we are here, what are we supposed to do? We need to check. We need to check whether we have access to EC2. I know that I already checked. I'm already seeing that we're in the Stockholm region. I don't think I need it there. So where are we doing things from? Just have this side by side. So where are we doing things from? We're in the North Virginia. So I think it would be great if I just change to North Virginia. Yes, this one. Let us check on what we have here. So I've already logged in. So let us see whether I have some access. So I think I'll try to stop the prod instance and see whether I'll be able to do it from the dev user. So let's go to EC2. You can use these or you can search, regardless wherever you want to access it. Doesn't really matter. So I have, you can see I can describe my instances, which is fine because I have that. Remember that I had that in my permissions. So it is loading. So I'm expecting that I'll not be able to stop the prod instance. So here it is, or even any other that I can see, I can just try to go under actions. For instance, data top instance, the prod instance, I'll get an error. I'm not authorized to perform this operation as the dev user. So So I'll try to stop the dev instance and just move this crazy error message. And then I'll check on the instances. Here they are, and select prod, select dev, and I stop that. And I see I can be able to stop it successfully. Stopped. And why? Because this instance has the resource tag of dev, if you remember very well. So that is what makes it possible for me to do what? To stop it, right? See under tags, you see that this has that. So you can see I am policy simulator. You may not want to actually shut down the instance to test the access. So you can also use the policy simulator. So if I want, I can open this up, just have it on this other side. So I'm going to select the dev group. Then I'm going to say delete tag and stop instances to test. So this is the policy simulator. So I'm going to choose groups. I'm going to choose dev group. Then under the policy simulator, I'm going to choose Amazon EC2. So it's just going to simulate instead of me actually doing the thing on my console. Then I'm going to say, I'm going to simulate that process. I'm going to select the ability to delete tag and stop instances. Stop instances, easier to find. Sure. They are at the top. Don't know that they are arranged alphabetical. You can search them. So that is something that is to find. Delete route. Easy to search this. You under delete. Eyes are not seeing things here. Yeah, here it is. It maybe just needed to make it bigger. And I also need stop instances. Here it is. So those ones, right? So I've done that. I'm going to expand the delete tags that way. I'm going to click show statements in dev policy. Oh yeah, I'm going to run the simulation first. I need to run the simulation. Just make this smaller. That I'm going to run the simulation. So we expect that this is now going to happen. It's going to be denied. If I expand, I'm going to click show statement. You can see it is the part of the statement that does not allow you to delete tags. If I also open stopping, you can see that you can see the default it is denied. You see, you already know that is why. So implicitly denied by no matching statement. So you can see the first one was denied because there's a matching statement, and that is this statement that explicitly, but the other one on stopping instance was just implicitly denied because there are no matching statement to allow. So that is a very important feature in terms of IAM. Just something has not been mentioned, it does not allow it, just implicitly denied, especially for a certain permission. So I'll expand, delete, and it automatically highlights. We did that. Expand, and you can see the action died because the simulation resource that dot please note dev group can only stop instances having dev tags. So now you test the policy after adding the dev tag to validate the policy correctly. So you just add dev in this policy simulator. So the end, then I'm going to write dev. Do I need to put a slash? No. So run the simulation. Yes, so you can see it's now allowed. And why? It's because I added that. And you can see it is showing even the matching statement. I can show this statement. It is highlighting for me the part of my policy that allows. So the IAM policy is a very powerful tool that can really help you check the effect of a policy even before you apply it on a particular group or set of users. So just test that without affecting the environment. Good. So done with that part. I'm also done with the simulator. So that is done. So far so good. So I'm going to assign an IAM role for EC2 and test the access. So I'm going to log in as the admin. So this is the dev user. So I just minimize this. Here that I have is my admin user. So we have it here. So we're going to go to EC2 to create an S3 bucket. We're going to go to S3. And then I'm going to create a bucket. We're going to call it the username. So IAM test. You can call it IAM test check. So I'm just going to create a bucket. Hopefully no one has ever created one like that. So then I'll just put my user that user. So you can see this one is created Asia Pacific Zero region, but I think as moving it, yes, it's done, it's fine. So as much as S3 is a global service and that bucket names must be global, remember that a bucket resides in a particular region. Okay. I'm going to leave any actually to allow us to load this beautiful picture of AWS. If I've ever needed a picture like this, can I download it from here? It does. Just pick it back there. All I'm going to upload that logo. Okay. I'm going to, don't think it's too much. I'm going to create another, okay, no, it's going to create another bucket. So I'm down, going to go to S3 bucket, I'm going to create another bucket. Then I'm going to call it test as I'm going to give it my username. Okay, then I'm going to upload any file in the S3 bucket, which is fine. So create that bucket. Remember that I've created two buckets. I don't like having idle buckets on the account. So but I'll just delete it after I saw these have enough resources. I'm usually very particular before I do a lab. I have to check whether it has a clean up sources section, especially if I'm going to be doing it on my phone. But since I'm going to be getting a sandbox, I really didn't going to be worrying too much about that, because it's going to be help to clean some of these resources. So let's add any file, add a different file, just add this one. Right here, sure. Okay. It uploads that. And then I'm going to go to the IAM. Delete the part of my IAM. What am I going to do there? I'm going to go to roles. So most of the time sandboxes don't allow you to create roles. So it's very important to check whether you can do that. Otherwise you might be forced to do a certain lab using your AWS account because you have more power over the ability to create roles. Just checking something here. Let's move. We're moving on well. So going to the create role button. Service is EC2. And then before I copy this policy, let's see what it does. Action is to allow to list just I think we can copy then check it on the other side. Going to choose the JSON tab. that. But so yeah, I need to create policy. I see I don't have the ability to read from this interface. So IIT, select trusted entities, right? So copy that in the JSON tab. So this is the trusted entity. Step 2, I'm going to add permissions. So I think I would need to create a policy. I'm not seeing the button to create a policy, but I can just move on to policies very fast. Another tab and just create a policy. Sometimes the interfaces changes. So create a policy. So I'll make sure I change the value in the resource to the name of the S3 bucket that I created. No worries. So git load. US East one is where everyone is. Hey. So here we are. As always, we love JSON. So we paste, but before we do anything, let us just maximize and look at it. So it's going to, the action is going to allow listing of buckets and even getting the where the bucket is located. And this one is for all. And then the resource is very specific. I have to put my bucket, and I think the only thing I add different is that I put my username. It's very specific, all the items in that resource. And that, do I need to put all the 2 buckets? No, just the same. I'm looking at these examples here. Okay, how do I need to call it? In bucket test policy. Going to create that policy. So it is created. I'll go back here. I'll refresh and I'll search it. Here it is, ready to be attached to this role. And then I'm going to call the role IAM bucket test role. So you can see it is all here, the trust policy and the permissions. Then I need to put any tags. So I'm really sure that I'm going to access the So the role has been created. So I'm going to connect to the instance. I'm going to go back to EC2. Then I'm going to try to connect from the prod instance. I'm going to try to list all the buckets. Didn't use Amazon Linux 23. So if I didn't, then that I need to install AWS CLI. Did I do Ubuntu? Oh, I think I did Amazon Linux too, which is really fine. So here it is, the prod instance. I connect to it. Will it really work without the key pair? Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Good, has worked, awesome. So I'm going to do what? First, I'm going to do just AWS version, just to confirm that I have CLI. Have it here, totally fine. So I'm going to try to run the command that most people use to check whether the CLI is well configured. AWS S3 CLI. What did I do? AWS S3 LS, not CLI, sorry. Yes. Unable to locate credentials. Can configure credentials by doing let's configure. So I think it just understands that I need to do. So I can just, oh yeah, that is why I needed the what? The credentials, right? Then I need to do configure. Just trying to see that okay, I can just do a temporary one very fast. This is my user. I go here to user. Just create a credential for the user, which I'm going to make sure I delete to do very fast. So I don't like creating security keys. State one. Can see it always, it's already asking if I can use this CLI. Well, just have that. Let's create the access key. Copy that. Save it. Bigger. Then paste that. Then access key. Sure I delete it the moment I finish this video in case I don't want basic things. By the time I release the video, it will be deleted. US1, but I can just modify it. So I have it, so I can now do AWS. This one has the ability, so it will do it. because of these credentials, but there's something I'm missing. So if I've configured it, it means that it has the access for that. So what if I configure it with the credential and created it using my K2A? So let's do something. So let us go back to my access key. Let's say done. Let's say continue. Then is that access key that I've just created. Just delete it. Deactivate and delete it. Good. So let's go to the user who is supposed to get the credentials. This one. So I'm going to create an access. And then I'm going to confirm. This is the thing about doing things raw. You just have to do it. I'm going to do again AWS configure. So you can see even if I do it again, it's not going to work. You can see it's invalid because it does not exist. I've just deleted it. So I need to paste that. Then I need to put in the access key. And then I think all the others can remain the same. And let us try the other command. So do you see access denied? I'm getting the access denied just as expected because I've not done what? I've not assigned the policy. So back to the instance, select for the instance, modify IAM role. So I go back here, I go to instances, prod instance, go to action, security, modify IAM role. Then I'm going to give it the IAM bucket test role. I have so many roles. Bucket test role. Then I'm going to update its role. So I can see the object. So I can see the S3 bucket. Also, I can see the bucket. Yeah, so I can only see, I'm going to be able to see for the first one. So according to that policy. So let us try that. So AWS S3 LS. So do I need to restart? Like really? But I might need here that I'm going to need to open it. Let me just close this connection and I'm going to connect to it again. Interesting. I love IAM. You master IAM, no one will mess you up. So access denied. Did it really apply to it? And click on something. And it usually takes a bit of time. I need to restart. Let's see. Security, modify IAM role. It is still having that. It is already having that. So quick restart. Makes sense because maybe rebooting. We can just do a quick troubleshoot. The function can troubleshoot. Let's just get a screenshot. Just about to log in. I'm going to get that red again. Because I'm in. So let us try the PLF. You're getting an error. So let's see, we can try something different. So we already modified the so we can do something like check. So let's see if we can configure CLI. Let's see what are we getting here. See about configuring and using it. Configuring it, use it. I think we already configured. Yes, so I think I can use this. But I think it would mean that I need to put up the AWS profile. The AWS profile should have that. There should be in that config and use that. It's all about setting up the profile. I don't want to do. Don't want to go through all that hassle. Let's see. Don't think this should be anything that I should do on my end. But let us have something different. Let us do something. Let's go to instances. Remember that I stopped my dev instance, right? It is stopped. Let's go to instance state. Actions, security, modify IAM role. Let's give it the IAM bucket test. I think I was giving the dev instance instead of the prod instance. What does the prod instance have? Oh, I'm not given the prod instance. Or what? I think I given the prod instance. Let's look at also the dev instance. Actions, security, modify. So the dev doesn't have. So IAM bucket test role, we update that for the dev instance, you see. Then we also open it up. Let's start it. Let's try to connect to this one. You connect to the because you expect for us to be able to list the two buckets that we created, but only access the contents of one bucket, not the other that has the word the ledger other. Okay, let us see. Yes, still getting that error. Let's see whether our other instance which is given, we modify the IAM role. And we've started it, it's still initialized. Finish passing the checks. Still initializing. Still initializing. As that happens, let's check what goes on here. So you're going to expect that, and we'll be done. We'll be done once we have it. I think it will only be about cleaning up the resources. So we are on the last leg. I wonder why. So this prod instance is having its own kind of issues. Let's look at the dev. But I remember the dev user, is it having access to the prod instance? Not really, right? That would be also another issue. The dev user have access to the prod? Not really. Only had access to in terms of the policies. Let's see. So this dev instance. So you can see it has the ability to list all the buckets in my account, which is totally fine. What can I do? Can I need to do what? Need to check whether I can do access the other this account. Unless they can check it. Okay, I'll be able to see the logo. What about the other? See, I can't do it. Why? Because of the IAM role that it's working. So that was interesting. Talking of which, I've seen buckets that I need to do, but I'll do that after the session. But obviously, the first thing I want to do, which I really was waiting to do, is to delete this access key. Good. Now let's go to the cleaning up of our resources. We have obviously have to go to EC2, go to the instances, terminate the two instances, dev and prod, dev and prod, instance, state, terminate. we need. So I have to check that security groups first of all. I usually find security groups surviving too much. So many of them from our party. Go. You are using security. Four. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we can launch wizard must be something, but I don't need. Do not delete those that are not. I think this one is associated to an interface. You can even try to select all of them. Just say leave thing going to be deleted. Good. So good. I'm good now. The security groups. We go to deep cleaner. Once is terminated, you go to the IAM console. You go to users. User groups first. Let's delete the dev group. Go to dev user. Create a user. Delete that. Let's go to the role. Have these deleted. Have several roles that I need to clean up. Then policies. Dev policy. I'm going to be the IAM bucket dev policy that is used. To avoid deletion. Then I'm going to go to the S3 console. Then I'm going to go to bucket. I'm going to delete the two. they're going to delete the final bucket. That is done. Wow. I'm done with that. That was nice. That was IAM for you. So basically what we've just been able to do, because to be asked, we've learned a lot. What have we learned? We've learned everything regarding how you can set up users, groups, roles, policies, modify the IAM role for an EC2 instance, and test access. You can also test access on capabilities of a user. They're able to do something. For example, if they try to stop an instance, if the policy does not allow that. We've also been able to use the IAM policy simulator so that we don't have to test it on a real life environment. We can test the aspect of explicit, deny, or even an implicit, because there are no matching allows. So, and also using resource tags, the prod tag, the dev resource tag on the EC2 instances. I really hope that was a huge learning. And I'd like to thank you once again. You can also follow me on LinkedIn. Just search that, still subscribe onto the channel. Let's also look at each other on Twitter, or it's called X. And feel free to share in the comment section what you prefer to be done, what can be improved. And I'll be happy to hear from you and get your feedback from that. So till next video, do have a lovely time. Thank you, thank you, thank you.